This is the Vaguely Nerdy Podcast, where every week this brother-sister duo gets together to discuss the box office, latest film and TV scoops, along with our latest movie or show review, and what we're getting into next. We're your host, Shuro.
And Jay.
All right, so for the agenda this week, we got a couple of new movie announcements, a little bit of cars in the trailer park. It's not very full this week, but we got a whole bunch of Buncha Crunch. So let's kick it off with our first movie. So Will Smith, who we know from everything that he's already in.
And Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince, and currently in Bad Boys 4, which you should go see. We also did a review on that, which we really liked. It is doing gangbusters at the box office. His new movie was announced, which is interesting because I'm like, y'all could announce this before Bad Boys, which I was trying to wait to see how it did at the box office. He will do a movie next with Sony. It is called Resistor. It is based on a 2014 novel. It's a sci-fi thriller, and it follows a physicist, John Grady, and his team who have discovered a new device that can reflect gravity. So it's giving Tenet. When I read it, I was like, this kind of reminded me of Tenet with the gravity. But Tenet was like time instead of space or something. Anywho, this is a triumphant that will revolutionize the field of physics and change the future.
Yep.
So I like Will Smith in sci-fi. I, is probably one of my favorite Will Smith movies, I think. Outside of Independence Day, which is also like a sci-fi movie.
Favorite Will Smith movie?
Sci-fi movie. Now, wait, I probably made that hard. Because I don't know how many sci-fi movies he's been in.
I would probably say it's a tie between this and Men in Black. Men in Black is a sci-fi.
Men in Black is sci-fi. He also had that one where he was like a twin that didn't go so well. Oasis.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. No.
That's what that movie was.
Yes.
But anyway, he back in his sci-fi bag, y'all. The official plot details are still under wraps, so it's based off a novel, but we never really know if they're going to like do straight page to film or if they're going to do some adaptation of that. And we also don't have a date yet, but it's coming. Happy to see Will Smith in a new movie, period. But a new sci-fi movie is just double the pleasure, double the fun. So.
Yeah. So the other details about the novel is that not only is he an inventor of this gravity-defying device, but he also has to go against an organization who is trying to keep the device under wraps.
The government.
Yes, some government organization.
The government.
Who's trying to keep the device under wraps and hidden from the public because it could... well, I mean, just like people who come up with like alternative fuels or alternative forms of energy.
They want their money.
They usually end up dead because it could revolutionize
everything.
Poverty.
So, right. It's giving Fallout. Yeah. It's giving iRobot.
Like,
it's
the
giving
need for like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the premise. Will Smith sci-fi high octane action.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. So when we learn more, we will share the details.
We have another new movie on the slate called Soulmate with the number 8 that is been announced in the Megan movie universe, just like Megan's A
also
is
has
replaced
a
with the number 3.
Right.
Sorry. This movie is about a man that acquires an AI android to cope with the loss of his recently deceased wife in an attempt to create a truly sentient partner. He inadvertently turns a harmless robot into a deadly soulmate.
It's never a good idea. It's never. Now, I like Megan. Don't get me wrong.
This is the same.
I'm looking forward to Megan too, but I'm kind of like, y'all, this is very basic.
No, this is fine. This is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is Bad Boys.
Okay. I mean, fine, but we already know what's gonna happen.
We already know every Bad Boy
soulmate robot is gonna go super rogue, kill everybody, and then whoever is the partner is gonna have to kill the robot.
The Bad Boys go super rogue, kill everybody, and then one of the partners has to kill the bad guy. So,
I mean, I guess.
I think it works. I think that it could do a very good marketing push if it tries to make fun of like Her. Because Her did this very same thing, except they didn't give the robots bodies. They just stayed like AI assistants. But I mean, obviously the Megan parallel. I think this is a great idea. And also it eliminates children. This is an adult story.
Oh, so you say we could be a little more graphic? Although I feel like Megan did pretty good with slashing.
It could be less bloodless. Because it's not a... Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be a PG-13.
Oh, really?
Or rated R / I don't... What was Megan?
I think Megan was R. It should have been. I mean, some kids got injured pretty bad in that
Googling
movie.
Mathregan. and it was PG-13.
Oh,
so,
was it?
Yeah, this could be rated R. It'll probably still be PG-13, but
so they can get more people to go watch it.
It could be more adult because it is about adults, and the stakes could be increased because whenever there's a child involved, there are no stakes because it's a child, just like Jurassic Park.
Okay, but if Megan is a very light horror, so if you are like, I don't watch horror, you'll be fine.
And hope this is still funny.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of jokes that can be made from dating. And especially a lot of the weirdness going on with like AI companions now.
Right. And you can have the people like his friends and stuff like, sorry, what's going on here? So we'll see. I need to see a trailer like you like to say.
This releases in theaters on January 2nd, 2026.
We got a while.
Yes, very long time.
And I think Megan 2 is next summer. So
yeah, Megan 2 is 2025. So we'll still be getting Megan before this.
Better. I mean, why would... That would be rude.
Let's get into the trailer part. Okay.
Beep, beep.
So the first trailer we have this week is for a HBO Max series that is a spinoff of Robert Pattinson's The Batman called The Penguin. And this is an HBO Max series that is coming to Max in September 2024.
They just should have named it HBO Max. Calling it Max is very strange still.
So essentially the synopsis of this show is it's after the fallout of the film The Batman. Gotham has been flooded because they blew up the barriers along the harbor. I think it's Gotham Harbor or something. Yeah. Whatever fictitious river that is alongside Gotham.
It's real wet.
Like we would have assumed, Falcone's dead.
Yeah, so the family's in shambles because they like, who's going to take over because Dad's dead.
And that's kind of what I think Robert Pattinson narrated at the end of Batman was that there was going to be a power struggle now because somebody's going to have to fill the Falcone void. And that's where the Penguin comes in. He's trying to fill that void and grasp
be the new crime boss.
Yeah.
It looks, the trailer, let me tell you, the trailer looks good. Like it is shot well. I don't know if I am interested enough, though, to watch a whole series for the Penguin.
I'm the opposite, because I know how this story goes.
Oh. Straight from the comics, huh?
Yeah.
Or the movies, maybe, probably.
It
looks like something I've seen before. Put it that way.
Probably from both. I mean, it's like The Godfather. It's mob.
Every mob, Goodfellas, all that. Casino.
Essentially, Penguin tries to grab power. He has to go against like Falcone's kids.
Right.
They
show that in the trailer where we got the kids now.
Yeah, a big character in this is Sophia.
Is that Falcone's daughter?
I think so. Give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah, Sophia Falcone. So Sophia Falcone is usually, I've never seen her in live action, though I think she's popped up in live action before. I've seen her in a lot of the animated stuff.
Oh, okay.
And some comic books. So Sophia Falcone is his daughter. Mm-hmm. She is pretty much like, she's usually the stature of like Kingpin.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
So she's like huge.
Oh.
She kind of doubles as his bodyguard.
She's not huge in this.
And that's kind of my issue with this show is that they've kind of made her like this little frail older woman in the series, and they've kind of taken away the power from her because she's supposed to be like
cool that she was like some.
Yeah, she's supposed to be like this huge imposing figure, but she's gentle and she's kind and she's a daddy's girl, but she'll do anything for her dad, and it just seems like this show is going to be about her pandering to Penguin.
Well, and that it seems like that, and as a side, she's trying to like also take over like secretly.
I hope that's the case. I'll still watch it. The casting does make me a lot less excited. What does make me excited is Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown is in this as Sal.
Yes. Sal Maroni, who is the rival of Falcone.
Okay.
So it's those two mob families
trying to fight,
taking over Gotham. I think they said Sal was in prison during Batman.
He looks like he's in prison in the trailer. It looks like Penguin is visiting him in prison.
Clancy Brown, great casting for this.
I like Clancy Brown.
Sal Maroni is supposed to be just like Falcone. He's supposed to be like this older guy who's like a mob boss who's like super intimidating.
Yes.
You
Clancy
just
Brown
don't know what he's going to
that.
do.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name of the guy who played Falcone in The Batman.
Ooh, we know who he is because he's also in Severance. We're forgetting his name. John Turturro.
John Turturro.
There
John
it is.
Turturro. It's so crazy because I've seen John Turturro in a bunch of stuff. He was great in that.
Yes.
Even though he's usually like a comedic character, he was a good scary Falcone.
Yes,
so.
I liked him in the Batman.
But also, what I was going to say, the opposite of your thoughts is I don't like the way it's shot. I hate it.
Oh, really?
That
Why?
blur, that little blur.
It's got the crime mob blur.
The super, but the whole show is going to be like that?
That's
with
what
the
it looked
blur
like.
around the screen and the super focus on Penguin? I don't like that.
Maybe I should say I like the set design.
It looks
Maybe.
like Gotham.
Yeah.
The way it's filmed.
You're not like the mob boss
I don't like
grain.
that bloom around the edges of the screen.
Maybe that was just for trailer.
Because usually they do that when you're supposed to focus on whatever's in the center of the screen.
Okay.
You don't do that the whole episode.
That's true.
That's weird.
It's true. I need to see some reviews before I invest, because my main question is, where's Batman?
Yeah, it needs Batman.
Where's
It needs Batman.
No, like we're literally.
It needs
where
some
is he?
type of vigilante. These are just people.
It's just crime.
Yeah.
But I guess you had like the Goodfellas, and that was all crime, but I don't know. I think because we know the background of these characters are like they're all bad and nobody's getting redeemed here.
I think when people try to make Gotham spin-off shows, they forget that what makes Gotham interesting is the people in Gotham. Mm-hmm. If you tell a story about Gotham, but you remove all of the interesting characters and superheroes, it becomes a lot less interesting.
Man and everybody else.
Penguin is a villain who is interesting because he goes against Batman. I don't particularly care about Penguin's personal life.
His day-to-day life activities. Me neither.
I don't.
But Colin Farrell did really good in the movie, so we'll see.
Yes.
We'll see. It's coming this summer, y'all. Or sorry, it's coming this fall on Max, which should be called HBO Max.
The next trailer we have in the park is for Smile 2. This is an upcoming sequel to a horror film called Smile that came out a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be in theaters on August 18th, 2024.
October
18th, 2024. How do we feel about this trailer?
I have not seen Smile 1, so I had no context, and you had to explain to me what Smile originally was about. This looks interesting, though. And I asked you, I was like, is this like a demon situation, or is this a slash? And you said it's a demon.
Yeah.
But the demon you can't see, so I could handle that.
Yeah.
That's my kind of horror, where you can't see the demon.
So Smile is about this demon who passes from person to person through Smile. What happens is, I don't know
like this in the trailer.
I don't remember the origins of the original possession, but basically it possesses a person, drives them insane until they commit suicide. But the way the possession works is it drives you insane until you commit suicide in front of somebody, and then whoever witnesses the suicide catches the curse next. And
we see this. Well, you don't see, I guess, that part in the trailer, but you see the person take a weight and smash his head in.
Yeah, so the first Smile came out in 2022.
Okay, it's not that old.
Yeah, it starred Sosie Bacon, which is Kevin Bacon's daughter, as the main character.
No idea.
And she basically played this therapist who one of her patients got the curse, killed themselves in front of her. Curse passed to her. Her husband is Freight Train from The Boys. Okay. And she has a sister, and because she's a therapist, and their mom like killed herself or something. They experienced some type of horrible family tragedy. I haven't seen it in a while. Okay. And everybody thinks she's going nuts, and that she's the one who needs help. Because of the past
trauma. Okay.
And it kind of goes the same way as The Ring, where
I was gonna say it's giving Ring vibes.
She discovers the mystery of the origins of the Smile, but she doesn't save herself. She still ends up dying.
Of course she does.
The demon gets her, and it kills her in front of her not boyfriend, but ex-boyfriend. Okay. And passes to him, and that's how the movie ends.
Okay, so it probably didn't pass a few people, because now the main focus of this movie, the main character is Beyonce. Not like a real Beyonce, but like a Beyonce in a film.
Yeah, so this Smile 2 is going to be starring Naomi Scott as Sky Riley, Rosemary DeWitt, and Kyle Gardner, who was the ex-boyfriend in the last Smile.
So that's how we're getting the connection. I was like, so is the demon just been hopping around and it just found its way to her?
Yeah.
But okay, it's always ex-boyfriend.
So always. I assume he's going to die in the beginning.
Yeah. Probably.
And then
that's how we keep it going.
Unless they're doing like the Clear Rivers thing, like where they bring him back for the second one to show the survivors of the new one how to survive the curse.
That would be an interesting kind of take, though. But I don't think she's gonna survive this movie.
It's a Final Destination thing where nobody survives this thing. That's the whole point of it being a curse.
We're here for the kills.
And I think it's like some type of ancient evil. So if somebody would have defeated it, they would have defeated it by now.
Listen, if the Bible ain't worked, you're done.
Glad to see Naomi Scott in something. Last thing I saw her in, she was the Pink Ranger in the Power Rangers movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that where she looks familiar?
Probably. Okay. She has blonde hair in this.
Yes. Okay, that might be.
She kind of looks like Halsey in this.
And she has a short cut.
Yeah, she looks like a mix between like Halsey and Pink.
Interesting.
In this trailer.
I can see that. I can see that. And you know what? I might be able to withstand this. We'll see.
What's interesting about this, the first one is she was a therapist. Mm-hmm. So you see a lot of people as a therapist. And it causes you to see everybody smile. So you don't know if somebody's actually smiling at you or if it's the curse. In this movie, the main character, Naomi Scott, is a pop star. So she sees crowds of people, lots of people all the time. It looks like there's a scene where it looks like fans are chasing her down a hallway and they're smiling and they're like crawling on the walls and stuff like that.
That's not normal.
It's a good horror movie. It doesn't have any. It's demon based, but it doesn't have any demons in it. There was a demon in the last movie that you saw at the very end as a reveal of showing you what the monster looks like, but it was on the screen for like 3 seconds. Most of the scares are people trying to figure out whether this person is a person or is possessed.
Well, there's a little girl at the very end of the trailer. There's a little girl who's coming up to her and she like this.
Yeah.
And she's like, you want an autograph? And the girl's just like.
And that's the fun, because you don't know whether they're possessed or the regular person. Yeah. Or just excited to see their version of Beyonce.
So Smile 2, coming at you October 18th.
Last stop on the trailer park is a movie called The Front Room. This will be in theaters on September 6th, 2024, and it stars Brandy.
Hey, Brandy Norwood, back in her horror bag.
So essentially what this movie is about Brandy and her husband live together and are expecting a baby. Husband's dad dies, and they are his last will or his last request was that the son take in the mom. And
I think it's his stepmom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not his biological mom. It's his stepmom.
She takes in the family takes in the mom, and the mom's a little freaky. We don't know whether I think she's some sort of witch because the words witch flash across the screen.
She walked like a witch. She talked like a witch. She dressed like a witch. She a witch.
She is some type of faith-based Christian witch.
Yeah, who don't like black people.
It's given like, absolutely racist.
Yeah,
she's a Confederate.
It's mentioned in the trailer. We're not just making that up.
It's giving Road to Perdition.
Excuse me?
Which is funny because our mom just brought that up.
She did because she said she just watched it.
Road to Perdition was about Bill Paxton said throughout the whole movie. Bill Paxton was a killer. He was a serial killer. And he killed people that were usually bad people. But he killed lots of people. And he took his sons with him to do it.
Yes, yes. That was Road to Perdition?
No, not Road to Perdition.
You thinking I was like, that is not. I'm
thinking
that. I know exactly what movie you're talking about. It is not Road to Perdition, but I was like, this is the different Road to Perdition than I remember. It ain't no way our mama was watching that.
No, it wasn't the Road to Perdition. It was.
You're gonna find it.
Arg.
He's getting y'all. He getting it. I know what movie you talking about. But I don't remember the name. He's Googling. I'm about to run out of words for my made-up song.
Frailty. That's what it's called.
Yes.
And not Road. She did just talk about some other Bill Paxton movie. Was it Bill Paxton? Was it this movie?
I don't think Road to Perdition had Bill Paxton in it.
Road to Perdition was Tom Hanks.
Yes.
Yeah. So Road to Perdition. Road to Perdition was a movie about a different.
Totally.
He was an assassin.
Yeah,
yes. Tom Hanks was a hitman.
Was not killing his own.
Frailty.
Yes, was about possessed Bill Paxton.
Yes, it wasn't possessed Bill Paxton. It was Bill Paxton who was like this super Christian who told his two sons that he was hearing voices from God telling him
from the radio or something, right?
Yeah, telling him to kill these people,
right?
Who ended up being like sinners, and you saw him talking to himself, but there was no evidence that he was talking to God, and he had one of his sons thought he was crazy,
right?
And in the end, at the very end of the movie, there's like surveillance footage that shows like weird things that would happen whenever he would go kill somebody, to where there was supernatural things that would erase the evidence.
So at the end, it was like he actually was hearing something.
Yes, so he was actually hearing from some supernatural force was on the back end actually doing something. Right. It seems like that's what's going on.
The Lord is like, why am I in it?
It seems like that's what's going on with this old lady who is going to be like giving us red herrings the whole movie. And we're not actually going to have evidence that something supernatural is happening.
We just going to think she crazy.
Until the end, when she like pulls out all the supernatural stops and stuff starts levitating.
All the things out her bag.
Yeah.
So... yeah, and she also obviously wants something to do with the baby. Like, it's always somebody always wants the baby.
Definitely needed for some type of like sacrifice.
Of course. However, overall, it looks okay.
I think
it looks a little cheesy.
The trailer made me less interested in the movie.
I unfortunately agree.
Unfortunately, some of Brandy's line delivery was super dry.
Especially at the end where she is supposed to be. So at the very end of the trailer, I guess the stepmom calls Brandy's character the wrong name all the time.
She calls her Belinda, and her name's Belinda.
But she's like, Belinda, my name's Belinda. And it's just, it's like,
I think that's supposed to be a joke.
It's not funny though.
Which would have hit if the line was delivered a little better.
It was weird.
It seems like a lot of Brandy's line delivery is just her talking in regular voice tone. She's not inflecting. Her voice is the same in each and every scene.
And we know Brandy know how to do horror, so I'm like,
and we know that she knows how to just act in general. So
also that
it just seems kind of dry.
Cinderella too. So
the grandmother character is a little too goofy. I would have preferred a known actress.
It's giving campy, as you like to say. Or is that even a right?
If they were going to do that, they should have went with like a known older white lady actress that's a comedian.
Oh,
like somebody, somebody in like somebody who can pull off like old and creepy, like somebody in like the.
Or you can put somebody in makeup and make them old, and they like Kate McKinnon.
Yeah, like or somebody in like the Carol Burnett.
But range, I think we're supposed to take this like seriously. I don't think it's supposed to be funny.
I think it's supposed to be funny. That's why they casted an old racist older white lady. And the whole Belinda joke that runs throughout it, and all of the racist undertone comments at the dinner table. I think it's supposed to have moments that you laugh at.
But I didn't laugh at that.
I don't think the lines were delivered very well. That's why I think that's why.
It's a little off. Yeah. It's a touch off. I don't know if I'm feeling the whole racist grandmother situation in my horror movie. It's just like
I'm fine with that because it's the same in Get Out, but
yeah, but I feel like it's done here. It's cheesy,
and I think that has to do with the casting and the line delivery. It could be funny. Get Out had very funny moments, but acting was like a lot better in like Get Out. So
yeah, I don't. Like we mentioned before, this is coming out against Beetlejuice, so we'll see how that turns out.
I like Brandy. I like Brandy horror. She's a great final girl. I like horror movies. I like A24. It just doesn't seem like it seems like
the Kool-Aid is missing some sugar.
A24 has had some hits. This seems like a little bit of a regression, but
maybe we'll get another trailer and it'll turn the tide.
All right, so that is all of our stops at the trailer park. Let's dive into this Buncha Crunch.
All right, first crunch. Oscar Isaac and Carey Mulligan are in talks to star as a couple in Beef Season 2. So Beef Season 1, what we found out is going to be an anthology series. So it sounds like every season is going to be a new couple feuding. So in Season 1, it wasn't a couple. It was just two people that were also couples feuding against each other. This season, we don't have total plot details, but it will be two couples fighting. Feuding. It's called Beef, so hint, hint, beef. Earlier reports stated that Anne Hathaway and Jake Gyllenhaal were going to be one of the couples that are going to star in the show. That obviously did not work out. Although I will say, Anne and Oscar as a couple would have been fine. So
that would have been good.
Carrie's good too. She cool. But Dayline also reported that Charles Melton and Kaylee Spaney will also appear in Season 2. So it sounds like we're going to have Oscar and Gary, and we're going to have Charles and Kaylee as the two feuding couples. So older versus younger kind of situation here. And you know what I hope they don't do?
That much older? Like is Carey Mulligan that much older than Charles Melton?
Well,
I guess she's 40, so.
Okay, so I think Oscar and Carey are probably in their 40s, and then Kaylee and Charles, I'm assuming, in like their 20s.
Yeah, Kaylee Spaney's definitely in her 20s.
I didn't Google it, so we could be slightly off on that. But what I hope they don't do is a situation where one of the couples or one of the partners in one couple gets together with the partner in the other couple, and it's just
what's the point of having two couples?
No, Can they be fighting over something else?
Nope.
That's so typical. I started Beef season 1, and then it got just some controversy got attached to it, and then I quit it. So we'll see. I like the premise though. It started off very good.
I'm a tiny bit less interested.
Why is that?
I was okay with Jake Gyllenhaal and Anne Hathaway, especially coming off of WeWork.
Yes.
We Crashed, the WeWork series where Anne Hathaway
and Jake can play a very good Looney Tune. So.
Yes. So I was excited about that, and that's no shot against Oscar Isaac. I really do enjoy Oscar Isaac as well.
You like the pairing of Anne and Jake Bader.
The pairing of Oscar Isaac and Carey Mulligan doesn't do as much for me as Jake Gyllenhaal and Anne Hathaway as far as acting.
Fair enough. We'll see. I at least start it and see how it goes because I like the premise of Beef. So
I will too.
All right. Next on our Buncha Crunch, Uncharted 2 is officially in development at Sony. So the first Uncharted, if you don't know what Uncharted is, it is a video game. It has how many video games? Like 12?
5 or 6.
Okay, I overestimated
including the spinoffs.
A lot. The first Uncharted released in February 2022, so it's not that old. It was a box office success, though. It grossed $407 million against a $120 budget. It had a B+ cinema score and 90 on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. So it was well liked. We enjoyed it. We went to the movies to see this, right?
No, we absolutely watched this at home.
Oh, sorry.
It was good.
But it was good. We enjoyed it. I think we've actually watched it. I've seen it twice. I feel like I've seen it twice at least. So I must have liked it.
Yeah, I wasn't super interested in the movie when the trailers came out, and we watched it at home once it hit streaming. So
we did.
Yeah, and we really enjoyed it.
It is a very much kind of like just a straight up action adventure. It's not really like supposed to be.
It's like Tomb Raider,
right?
It's not like Tomb Raider. It's like National Treasure.
There you go.
Yeah.
Rock movie. Insert rock movie is something like that. So not surprised to get in the sequel. I would actually be looking forward to that and checking that out.
All right, next Buncha Crunch. Lionsgate will release Francis Ford Coppola's controversial film Megalopolis.
Hey, it's got a release date, y'all.
September 27th in the U.S. and Canada, but it's not paying for the marketing of the movie, which I feel like is fine. Movie's been marketed enough.
Hold on. You gonna take my movie and distribute it, but you ain't gonna pay for the marketing? That's their problem.
I think that makes sense.
Because he got to pay for it.
Yeah. So Francis Ford Coppola is expected to provide $15 to $20 million in the marketing himself. That makes sense.
He got that just
the movie is apparently unmarketable, and he really wants it released. So we will release it, but you have to market it. Especially since it makes the most sense. Marketing is a big part of a film's budget.
You're correct.
Sure.
We probably gonna see it because now everybody been talking about how cuckoo it is. So we're like, well, we need to see it for ourselves so we can tell y'all if it actually is cuckoo.
Yeah, we're gonna watch it. We're going to review it. We're gonna put it on the show, and we'll probably have no idea what the film was about.
It'll be
doesn't seem like anybody does.
It'll be a fun review, if anything.
All right. Also, Jordan Peele reveals his next film will release on October 23rd, 2026, and there is no plot or movie title or any details that have been given other than the date.
He got a movie coming out.
Yeah.
Yay. Next year. No, I'm sorry. 2 years from now.
That's pretty much all there is. That's pretty much all that can be said about it, because knowing Jordan Peele, there's no telling what this movie could be about.
So. Right. I'm surprised it's not for a while, though. Is he not putting nothing out next year? That's kind of interesting.
He's got that cowboy documentary coming out.
Oh, okay. That counts. All right.
Isn't he still doing that Marlon Wayans movie? Or is that somebody else?
You are correct.
So is this it?
No, that's coming out some other time before this.
Okay, so not only is this too far away to think about, he has 2 additional things coming out before that we don't know much about.
You're right. My bad, Jordan. Sorry.
Gladiator 2 is moving up from November 22nd to November 15th.
I don't know why. I think Moana 2 or something comes out like the following weekend. I think they want those screens. They will probably want the premium screens for longer. So that makes sense.
They did say that it has some of the most intense and best action sequences ever put to film. So
everybody says that about every movie.
Looking forward to seeing whether that holds up or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because Ridley Scott.
They gotta say that.
Ridley Scott knows how to talk himself up. The delivery, though.
You have to say that because this movie's budget is
touch
like
and go.
$500 million. So they need everybody to go see it. Like, yo, these the best scenes you'll ever see. And we get there like, oh, it's okay.
He'll always have Alien.
And Gladiator. 1.
And he'd be Ridley Scott.
And
Heat.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
He got it.
Everybody Still Hates Chris is getting an animated revival series that's coming with Chris Rock, Terry Crews, Tashina Arnold reprising their roles, and it will release on Comedy Central.
They don't need it.
I don't need it.
Don't need it.
Everybody hates Chris the live action, which is crazy to say now.
I know, right?
But
you got to denote which one is, if it's live or animated these days.
Was perfect.
Yes.
It toted the line of being goofy enough where it was just still realistic. Any goofier, it would have been a little less realistic.
Right, like you couldn't relate as much.
The fact that she could get a new job every episode.
Right. But you know what? I'm glad Tashina Arnold is in something.
I'm glad people are working. I just don't know if this will last very long. Especially with the temperature of things with Chris Rock right now, especially with Will Smith on the rise.
Listen, about to say Will Smith back in the everybody bag. So we'll see. It's animated. It's on Comedy Central. I don't know how much of a wave this is actually gonna make. And
I don't think anybody watched Everybody Hates Chris for Chris Rock. Maybe Terry Crews and Tashina Arnold, but I find it very interesting that they're the only two returning cast members.
Well, because they're gonna focus on the kids from the show. The original show are too old to play voice kids now, I guess. So, which kind of sucks to say.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Because, they older.
Yeah, they're older.
So they want the kids, which is kind of like, how many more stories are we going to tell from his childhood?
Yeah, and is it just going to, because of course they're mostly just fictitious, but.
Right. With a spin.
Are they just going to redo the live action episodes?
I
Still
hope
stupid
not.
to say that.
I don't know. I don't think this is needed. Do something else. Do something original. Maybe try that. Anywho.
Shout out to everybody involved.
Especially Tashina Arnold. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the last bit of news on the Buncha Crunch, which is a sad crunch.
Aww.
Donald Sutherland has passed away. He died earlier this week at the age of 88. He has an extensive career in acting that spanned over 70 years in film, TV, and theater.
He's a working man.
These roles include MASH, Time to Kill, Outbreak, Invasion of the Body Snatchers,
didn't see that.
Pride and Prejudice,
don't know.
The Italian Job,
seen it.
Space Cowboy Backdraft, 6 Degrees of Separation.
Space Cowboy, Backdraft. Those are two different movies. Sorry, I forgot to comment there.
6 Degrees of Separation. I didn't see either of those. So.
You didn't see Backdraft?
I didn't see Backdraft.
Oh, okay.
When did it come out?
Oh, it's old. It's literally about firefighters. And then Space Cowboys is about, think of Expendables, but in space with old astronauts.
Okay.
He was in it.
I have to look at that.
It's got Tommy Lee Jones in it.
6 Degrees of Separation as well.
Classic.
And the Hunger Games franchise.
Mm-hmm.
He has a Primetime Emmy Award, 2 Golden Globe Awards, and a Critics' Choice Award. He has been cited as one of the best actors never to have received an Academy Award nomination, but he did receive an honorary Academy Award in 2017.
He's probably due.
Yeah, honestly.
Right.
He was also an anti-war activist, as well as some additional fun facts. He was considered for the role of Dr. Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs.
I can see it.
Yes.
He would have been a tall Hannibal.
It would have been a different movie. But because he wouldn't have. I don't think Donald Sutherland is creepy, but menacing. I think
Anthony Hopkins
is much
more creepy.
Yes.
Okay. So we would have had
love Anthony though.
Different variety of villain there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a Cid, having voiced the video game character in Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within movie, which counts.
That counts.
That's in there.
I remember that movie, and I was like, "This is an interesting movie." But
rest in peace to a legend.
And he's also Kiefer Sutherland's dad.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you didn't know they were related, now you know.
All right. So R.I.P. Donald Sutherland. That is all we have for movie news, Trailer Park, and Buncha Crunch this week. We are going to take a short break, and then we're going to get into the review of this episode, which is Scavengers Reign.
Hey. This week we are reviewing Scavengers Reign, which is a TV show, not a movie this week. It is an animated show that was released on Max, used to be called HBO Max, October 19th, 2023, but it has since been canceled on Max and is now available on Netflix. Go watch it right now. And it was released on Netflix all at once, May 31st of this year. It is based off the creators of the show short film Scavengers that was on Adult Swim back in 2016.
Yeah.
So it was created by Joseph Bennett and Charles Huebner. I think, Charles, I hope I got your name right. Please forgive me if I did not. The cast and characters include Sunita Mani plays a character, Ursula. Winmu Musaku plays Ozzy.
Wunmi Masaku.
Please forgive me. Y'all know I don't get names right. But we love her. I love her. She's
yes.
so good. Ali Swatcat as Levi.
Aaliyah Shawkat.
Is that how you...
Aaliyah Shawkat. Yeah. She's from Final Girls. And she's going to be in that Zoe Kravitz movie. She's the girl who goes missing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jay with the correction again. And Bob Stevenson, I got that right, as Sam. And Ted Travelstead as Cayman. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main characters, and then we also have a list of guests, which we'll get to as we review. It has a runtime of, so there's 12 episodes in the first season. Each episode is around 23 to 27 minutes, so less than a half hour. So you can kind of bang these out pretty quick.
Yeah.
No budget or box office that we know of, because it's a TV show. The ratings, however, on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics gave it 100% out of 22 reviews, and the audience has it as a 94%. I think there's like over 250 audience reviews. So if that is any indication of how much we liked it, then it is.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the plot. I have the series synopsis here. Should I read it, or should you think we can like summarize it without spoiling it?
You can read the synopsis.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit it.
Okay.
So the series follows survivors of a damaged interstellar cargo ship called the Demeter 227. They're stranded on a planet called Vesta. It's an alien planet bustling with flora and fauna, all right, but filled with danger. A lot of danger. Initially, the survivors are separated into 3 groups: Ozzy and her robot companion Levi, Sam and Ursula, and then the isolated Cayman, who travels with a telepathic creature named Hollow. Over time, their paths converge towards the crash-landed Demeter. So basically, we have these 3 groups of survivors from a shuttle or cargo ship crash, and are trying to get back so they can peace out and get up off this planet.
Yeah.
All right. So as far as voice acting, because like I said, this is animated, who did we like and who did we did not like, and who are some standouts?
I enjoyed all of the characters. My standouts would probably be Wunmi Masaku as Ozzy. I really liked her character. And Cayman. Cayman would be my standout character, just because we spent a lot of time with Cayman by himself on his own things. Yeah.
So for me, I also liked everybody. I actually think Levi the robot was a standout. Mainly because it's a robot, and in the series, this is not a spoiler. And I don't know if if you consider her an AI robot, but she's intelligent. So she's kind of like
I think she's as capable as Jarvis used to be.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. And she goes through a transformation in the series, and the way she does it is kind of like, it's kind of creepy. Yeah. At the end, you kind of like, oh, girl, for real? So I think the robot Levi was a standout, but all of the characters were good. I think the grouping of Ursula and Sam was interesting. So Ursula was she was like the biologist, I guess you can say.
Yeah, it says she was a crew member of the Demeter's horticulture lab.
Horticulture, okay. And then Sam was the captain.
Yes.
Of the ship. So they end up getting paired together. And then Cayman is off on his own. He runs into this telepathic, creepy animal. It looks like a little chubby, look like a worm. But he blow up real big.
Looks like a killer whale with legs.
It looked weird.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you thought Cayman was your standout, because to me, I thought he deserved everything he got.
All of his scenes had the best animation. I'll give it that. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough, because all the things he runs into.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, what non-spoiler thoughts do you have about the series in general before we get into spoilers?
I didn't really take any notes about the show. So non-spoiler thoughts, they're just like non-spoiler likes and dislikes.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed the animation style. It's simple. It's very simple, like Invincible, where it's just like like pencil line art.
It's 2D for sure.
Yeah, but the way everything's animated is really good. It switches between like 2D and 3D animation, and then it kind of gets like, there are some scenes where some of it is like super real, super realistic, while some of it is like hand drawn and they're in the same scene together.
It looks very good.
So the animation, I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the world building. The planet itself, I was reading like other people's thoughts on Reddit, and somebody had made a good point.
Doing the same thing. That's funny.
Somebody had made a good point about the planet, how they do a very good job at making everything on the planet strange.
Yes, the leaves, the grass, the rocks, the bugs, the air. Literally everything is something.
Like in some movies like Star Wars or Dune, a lot of the planets look very, very similar to Earth or
desert.
And maybe just like a handful of things on the planet stand out and make it different from Earth. Maybe this planet has like a handful of aliens or there's like
the trees talk.
The forest on these alien planets look exactly like the forest on Earth, except there might be some like alien creatures running around it.
Kind of like Atlas.
Yeah. In this, there was nothing that looked familiar to Earth.
Like the layout was like a planet. So you had, streams and cliffs and caverns.
Other than the fact
caves.
that it was a planet that had gravity that existed in a solar system.
Had the foundation of a planet.
There was nothing in this planet that was like, oh, this is reminiscent of Earth. Everything here was creepy and weird and dangerous. Everything was goopy. Everything bled or oozed or squished or was on a hunt to kill you. Very few things had like eyes. They all had mouths though.
Yeah, and appendages, arms and feet.
And appendages.
Toes.
There are some things are just regular animals, like some that could be akin to a deer. And some things are like telekinetic koalas.
Like you just said, the killer whale with feet.
Yeah, like you just have no idea what's going to be on this planet. So I like the fact that everything was weird. There was nothing Earth. It wasn't like Dune where it was like, oh, this whole planet just looks like the Grand Canyon.
Right.
Everything here was creepy.
Yes. Lots of creepy all together.
The world building was great. The storytelling, I liked the way that they jumped between the different characters.
Pacing was very good.
And then they filled in the backstory and flashbacks properly.
Yes.
I feel like they put those
editing
scenes,
was also good.
where they chose to insert backstory was very interesting. Like an episode could end and then we won't get the backstory for that previous episode, but it is the cold open for the next episode.
Right.
And then they'll tell us, oh, we're jumping you back really far in the cold open for this next episode to fill in the blanks of what happened in the previous episode, but also let you know what's going to happen.
Yes.
Coming up in
There's
this
a
episode.
lot of cuts to black. Like you'll be in a scene and something crazy happened, it cut to black, and then you open it up and it's just like, we in a different spot. You like, well, what happened to the people that was just there before the black? And
the last thing I'll say is that I liked the randomness of it. I liked the fact that there were a lot of things that happened on this planet, and a lot of them took place with Ursula, that you just weren't sure whether it was going to come back or not, or whether it mattered.
Yes.
There's a scene, non-spoiler, there's a scene with Ursula in like this forest of sticks.
Yeah, it's like a cave, sticky situation.
It's like a 3-minute long Fantasia-esque scene. And at the end of the scene, it never comes back. The whole scene was epic.
I was waiting for it too.
Extremely huge animation.
Yeah.
It was
very detailed.
Very detailed.
I thought about this.
It had all the things that would have made it make sense and have meaning and have like a larger purpose at the end of the show, and it never comes back.
And you're just like, is she gonna turn into one of them things? And
there's a lot of moments like that where you're unsure whether this thing is gonna come back or not, or whether they're gonna follow up, or whether they're just showing you, oh, this is just a strange thing that happened on this planet.
Because this planet is strange.
Yeah. I like that.
I have a very similar note. So what I liked was I wasn't sure who wasn't gonna make it. So it's not a predictable show. We only have 5 people. Well, we only have 5 main characters.
Yeah.
And so much stuff happens to them, and you're like, this is it, they done, and then they make it, and then you're like, they should need to go, they deserve it, and then they make it, and you like, or something happens and you're like, please don't die, and then they go. Just like, so the fact that the show was not predictable, you don't really know what's coming up next. Like you mentioned, the planet is literally everything is everything. Leaves, everything, trees, rocks, streams, bubbles, something there's something that camouflages into like white, so you don't know it's there till you touch it. There's so much going on that anybody could have went at any time.
Yeah.
Similar to what you said, the planet is very intricate with a lot of different creatures, which I pretty much just said. The creators, the people behind the scenes had to have so much imagination to think of how many different ways can we make a thing do a thing.
Yeah.
And then how many different things can we think of that thing can do? And it's just kind of like, it's a rock and you think rocks just sit there, but the rock like unfolds into like a trapezoid looking creature that could eat your face off, and you're like, who thought of this? Who thought of that?
The possibilities here are endless. It's like you thought something had just like a little meaning, or something transformed once, and then it just keeps going and it gets crazier and crazier.
So that keeps you engaged in the show. This is not a show where you turn on and listen to in the background. No, and not because the plot is like super duper, like it's not like an Inception where you like, oh, if I miss something, I gotta rewind. But you need to pay attention to what's happening to these characters, and you want to see like the trials and tribulations that they go through.
Yeah. And I like the fact that it's only 30-minute episodes, because there's so much that happens that you have to pay attention to.
Right.
30-minute chunks to consume that was perfect.
Yeah, because you need to digest.
Because it's so weird. And sometimes after it ends, you're like, what did I look at?
Right. It just cuts to black and you like, and then the end credits come on. You like, next episode, please.
Yeah.
And I also have, if the place wasn't a death trap at every turn, it would have been a really beautiful place.
Yeah. And it's not even like 34-minute episodes.
No.
They're like 24 minutes each of them, because they're still cut for commercial, even though they went to HBO Max.
Oh, did they have commercials on HBO
Well,
Max?
a lot of the cuts to black are like for commercial breaks, which you would assume. And then the fact that it doesn't stretch all the way to it, there's that 6 minutes of dead space.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. Okay. I didn't even think about that. But it's got I think the theme of the show is, I don't know if I could pinpoint the theme.
There's a lot of, I think there are themes. I think there are different themes for each person.
Okay. I would agree with that. Mm-hmm. Definitely Camus behind.
Yeah.
But yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So those are all of my non-spoiler notes. Are there any other spoiler? Oh, great. All right. Yep. So we are done with the non-spoiler facts. We are going to do a short countdown and get into the spoiler part of this review. And 3, 2, 1.
All right. So let's start up at the top.
Okay.
So the crew we start with them already on the planet. It doesn't seem like they've been there for a while, because they already know how to work. Ursula and Sam already know how to work the planet. And when I say that, I mean they know how to pick up something and use it to start a fire.
Yeah.
Or they know how to they know what's okay to eat and what's not okay to eat.
They know what can be used for medicine.
Right. What can be used they use something that lets them breathe underwater. Like you had to be there a while and test that out.
Yeah, they have these orbs that like illuminate, that they use for like flashlights and stuff in the dark.
Right. So they've been working the planet. They've been cultivating, they've been learning. So we already start with them already crash landed. And like you said, we get a lot of flashbacks to what happened. Mm-hmm. So the crew is working the cargo ship, and the cargo is people.
Yes.
And the people, they're taking these people to a new colony. So this is very much like think of like Marvel, where we have different planets with different species and different people living in different places.
Yeah.
So they basically colonizing, I guess is the word to use, different planets. And the crew is just taking these people from place to place.
Yeah.
And I think one of the first scenes we see that the call went out to whoever's running the Demeter organization or whatever. And they're like, oh, the Demeter 227s done went down. They like, well,
yeah,
sorry for they luck. And they don't go try to find them.
I thought it was crazy that the company was just kind of like,
we lost a ship.
We lost a ship of people.
With people on it.
We're not even going to attempt to go out there and check them out.
And the people that are getting taken to the colony, they're frozen.
Cryo sleep.
Like they like Bucky.
Yeah.
So they don't, they was hanging out, kikiing and kicking it, and then they get put to sleep, and then the crew was awake to keep the ship afloat.
Yeah.
And then that's when a crash happened. So we get there and we immediately are thrust into the hot chaos of what this beautiful looking planet is.
Yeah, so basically it's the whole planet is a Venus flytrap. It's pretty to look at, but if you get too close to it, it will chomp you up. We have Ursula and Sam, who are, everybody's making their way to the Demeter.
Yes, they are trying, because I don't think it's first episode, but maybe second episode, somebody calls out to the Demeter and it crashes. Okay, Sam does like a beacon to the Demeter, and the Demeter actually comes down from its floating in space to the planet, and they plan to take the evacuation shuttle to get up out of there.
Yeah.
There.
So, because I think the Demeter was blowing up.
Yes.
So
falling apart.
Yeah. So they initiate the auto landing.
Yeah, something like that.
And it lands. So they're, even though the survivors are all on different parts of the planet, they all are able to see the ship land, and they're all heading towards the same point. But they don't know that they are not alone. They don't know that they're not the only survivors. They're hoping that there are other survivors out there, and they're hoping that everybody on the ship is still alive.
Right. So like Sam and Ursula don't know that Ozzy is somewhere else on the planet alive.
Right. And they think Cayman's dead, or they're hoping Cayman is dead.
Right.
So Ozzy is with Levi, her robot companion, who's like Jarvis, but has a full body. So it's like, think of like Jarvis in like Jarvis in a C-3PO body.
With a large globe as a body.
Yeah, with a heavy, very top heavy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Little legs, big body.
But useful, not like C-3PO, more like Jarvis. But anyway, Ozzy and Levi have set up camp at like one of the escape pods that came down when the Demeter exploded, and they are kind of like, Levi's kind of doing some type of gardening.
Yeah.
Ozzy's just trying to survive and trying to send out distress signals to get picked up every single day. But she's also noticing that Levi's acting a little strange, because one of the strange things this planet does is give technology sentience, which is very weird. So early on in the series, Levi is already acting strange.
Little cuckoo.
And it starts by just Levi noticing things, paying more attention, or just noticing that the robot is clearly becoming more aware of its surroundings. Yes. It's starting to give her suggestions for things.
She's having her own opinion as a robot.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're a robot. You do what I tell you. Yeah. You don't really have an opinion.
And the signs of that are very obvious.
Yes.
And it was kind of frustrating me that Ozzy was kind of I don't know if Ozzy was being intentionally oblivious or was just hoping that the robot would correct itself.
One of my notes says, surprised Ozzy wasn't more concerned about Levi being self-aware.
Yeah. Like, the robot is clearly self-aware.
Because Ozzy will call out to Levi, like, Levi, I need you to pick this up, or Levi, I need you to take this there. And Levi just be staring off in the distance like, ooh, pretty bird. And she like, Levi,
you're not responding to my commands.
Hello, what is you doing? She was like, I need you to be on it because you're here to help me. So you can't be off here, Googling, goggling at the grass.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not concerned that this robot is having thoughts and opinions.
Yeah. So when they see the Demeter come down, they start their voyage. Because I think since they had landed, they've been in the same spot, it seems like.
They don't seem like they're moving around too much. Unless they like need to, I guess.
Surviving, I guess.
Right.
But still coming back home. And then we have Cayman, who's the last survivor. He crash landed on his own somewhere. Now, we don't know where he landed, but where the show picks up, he's by himself. He's by himself. He's like held up in some type of like piece of shuttle that came down.
I think he's stuck in his escape pod, essentially.
Yeah, he's stuck in there. And he's going nuts, which you would do because you're in isolation on a planet alone. You have no idea whether anybody else has survived or not. I would be afraid of going outside, even if the space shuttle could open.
Right. So I think his space shuttle is in like a tree or something. He can't get out. He has like a hole he can like stick his arm out and wave. But he looks like crap because he ain't got no food. He ain't had no sunlight.
His hair is overgrown.
He ain't got no water. Yeah. So yes, he's the lone wolf, I guess, in this series.
So he ends up being free from his escape pod by a hollow, which is this tiny looking
it looks like a panda, but
it's like a black and white panda
with eyes like this.
It looks like an amphibian, but it walks on land. Yeah, it looks like some type of like telekinetic frog or something.
Yeah,
it's
y'all gotta Google it. You just need to watch the show. All these creatures look crazy,
but it's telepathic and telekinetic. It lets him out of his escape pod and then starts to feed him goo and mentally show him images of. mentally show him images of his wife, Fiona, which
who was on the ship.
Which was on the ship when it blew up. Yeah. So,
and they didn't have a great relationship, which we find out through flashbacks.
Yeah, basically all of our scenes with Cayman are him being controlled by this hollow because it feeds you goo and uses you as a thrall to catch food for it and take care of it.
Right.
And in exchange, it feeds you more goo and shows you visions of things that you want to see, which really it just shows Cayman visions of Fiona
being a jerk.
But all his visions, and it's not visions, it's mostly just memories.
Yeah, they're memories of him.
But all of his memories are terrible because he was terrible to his wife.
He was not a good guy. Yeah, he was like the ship mechanic, I guess. That's what his job was.
Even though all he wanted was to keep seeing his memories of Fiona, all his memories sucked. And that just made him feel worse. And the more and more he did it.
Right. And since we're in spoiler territory, Cayman is the reason why they crashed.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Cayman is the reason why they crashed anyway. Basically, they were on their way to a different destination, but Cayman saw the opportunity to save more resources by stopping at another planet earlier.
Yeah.
And because he changed course, that is what caused the ship explosion.
Yes.
And why everybody had to evacuate.
Sam states that he should have killed. Did you say he want to kill Cayman? He might have said that, but Sam is mad because Sam is the captain. Sam is mad at Cayman, so anytime he comes up, he's like, I hope he's not alive.
Yeah. And we get these flashbacks of exposition separately because these people are alive on different parts of the planet separate. Right. So we'll get pieces of Sam and Cayman's backstory together filled in at different parts of the episode because they're encountering different things.
They do a really good job of telling us the backstory while also continuing with the forward story in this series. So the editing is very well done. You don't get confused at all. It's super easy to follow. Like I said, just don't be trying to do laundry and wash it at the same time.
But I do find it interesting that we never got backstory for Ursula.
We did not. And maybe that was a season 2. So the only thing we know about Ursula is that outside of her landing with Sam and being a horticultural person on the ship,
we have no backstory.
She's very resourceful though. I think that's, and I guess that, you know what, that makes sense of why she was so into the planet. So there are several scenes where her and Sam trying to get to the Demeter, and she steps off to the side and she's like, oh, this planet is so beautiful. Like you said, she got a 3-minute scene where she's just looking at some weird planet alien situation ritual happening, and nothing ever comes out of it, but it looks gorgeous.
And that's part of my problem with Ursula is that as the situations got more dire, Ursula
she got more interested.
She never got more serious.
She got more interested in the planet.
Like Sam would constantly have to tell her, like,
snap out of it.
I understand that you probably feel like you're resourceful enough to survive out here alone. However,
and she does too.
It increases your chances of dying by 50%. If one of us dies, whether or not we can handle ourselves alone out here at all. So can you get serious, girl?
Right. And they do it at the end. They finally are kind of like, and I like that they didn't turn them into like a couple either, because that could have been
or enemies.
Right. That could have been a very tropey thing to do. Right. They split off. At the end of the season, they definitely are like, close friends at that point, because all these characters go through a lot. And it's very much like they minding their business. They're just trying to get home. They sleeping, they eating, they just trying to cross a river, and something jump out like, hey, I'm about to kill you. Are you ready to die? And you're like, no, I want to leave.
So Ursula and Sam are traveling across the planet. I guess we can talk about the groups, and then once they all start to converge in the same point. So Ursula and Sam are going through a lot of different things. They have to,
I feel like they went through more terrain than anybody.
They have to avoid like some type of storm that like rains metal shards that kill you. And in order to do that, they have to like crawl into the stomach of like some sea creature.
Yep, that's trying to save her eggs.
And wait it out. And then while they're waiting out the storm, some type of like crab-like creature parasite crawls in to get the eggs, and they have to like fight that thing off.
They get stabbed a lot. Bitten a lot.
Sam gets kidnapped by like some type of like Roadrunner-esque alien that snatches him on his back and
takes him up a tube of some sort.
Takes him up to the surface where they circle around him and try to use their mirror wings to cook their food and eat it.
They wanted
that was
him
crazy.
As a hot dog.
The Forest of Sticks, where Ursula saw the frog opera.
Yes,
was wild. I don't even know how to describe it.
And somehow she figured out how to open up the sticks to make like an opening.
I think because it's some type of wildlife.
Okay.
And we just have to accept that she understands all forms of wildlife.
A lot of these things that they run into are very sensory heavy. So you can like make a noise, you can step on it a certain way, you can massage it, and it'll like open up into something else.
And Ozzy seemed to have an understanding of how to do that with a lot of the planetary stuff as well.
Probably because she had Levi, who was when Ozzy was asleep, Levi would walk around, a robot would walk around and start investigating, which was another sign that Levi was tweaking.
Yeah.
So Levi was learning the planet also, which helps Ozzy, but was also kind of like, Levi, what you doing?
Yeah, because it seems like Levi wasn't at any risk or any danger, because the planet was communicating with him and he was communicating back with it as he changed. So while Sam and Ursula are going through all their trials and tribulations, Ozzy and Levi are doing the same, but a lot of their stuff doesn't seem as terrible.
It doesn't seem like it.
A lot of Levi and Ozzy's issues are just Ozzy coming to terms with the fact that Levi is no longer just a robot.
Yes.
And I like the fact that they just did it between episodes. Like there was an episode where Ozzy opens up Levi to investigate her internals.
And she's got like goo.
Yeah, she's
got
like some type of
growing inside of her.
I don't like some type of mold or something.
Like pollen maybe?
Yeah, something is growing on her circuits.
That's making her self-aware.
It's giving her senses. She has 5 senses. She can see, she can hear, she can smell.
And she's not normally supposed to be doing that.
Right. She's curious about things.
Robot.
She can understand like different languages for the wildlife. She can speak to the things that fly. She can speak to like the little ant creatures.
She's doing some sort of communication.
Give them like commands. It seems like they obey or something like that.
It was giving weird.
There were some scenes where I was like, this is gonna get bad, but luckily it didn't. Luckily Levi didn't go
but how she got stopped was and I guess you'll get to Cayman next. So I'm gonna let you get to Cayman next.
Oh, so Cayman is walking around the woods with his hollow.
Killing for the hollow.
And essentially he's just feeding it. He's murdering different animals and creatures and things. Yeah, so he's murdering different animals and creatures and things and feeding it to the hollow. And every time we go back to Cayman the hollow is getting bigger because Cayman is feeding it bigger and bigger.
I didn't realize it was getting bigger until they put it up against something, and I was like, wait a second. So the hollow starts off the size of a puppy. Like a regular puppy. Just think of a puppy.
Yeah.
And by the time that Cayman is a couple episodes in and Cayman's killing it so he can eat, it's the size of a dinosaur.
Yeah, it's
essentially.
Huge. Yeah.
Like a good old, T-Rex. Essentially.
Yeah, it's massive. And we just get more and more scenes of the hollow kind of just like feeding him goop and showing him memories of him mistreating his wife Fiona. Essentially, he took the job on the Demeter to help to transport the colony to their new planet. His wife Fiona, he convinced her to uproot all of her life to come with him. And even though they weren't even in a good place really before, I guess you can kind of blame the fact that she went with him anyway on her for that.
Yeah,
but
bad idea.
She went with him anyway. They crashed. I mean, the ship blew up because of his actions, and he left her because he did. He hopped on
that pod and peaced out.
He didn't even think about her until the last minute when he showed up. He was so absorbed with himself and getting himself on a pod. He gets in the pod, the door closes, and then Fiona's banging on the door like, wait. And then he finally realized like, oh crap, I brought my ex-wife with me on this trip. Left her. And it was too late. The pod blows away. He gets free and she gets to stay in space, I guess, and suffocate and die, which is crazy.
I'm pretty sure Fiona didn't make it because we don't
we
see her body.
We see her body.
But then where did it go?
She just they suffocated in space.
Oh, okay.
So she just stayed on the ship and died and decayed until they called the ship down.
Yeah. So Cayman, like I said, deserved everything he got because eventually I guess he's such in a depressive state and he doesn't want to see any more of those memories. He allows the hollow to absorb him.
Well, no, something happens before that. So while everybody's on their way to the Demeter, one of the passengers awakes
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that guy.
And gets out. Because I guess it just interrupted his cryo sleep. He gets out. He crawls out of the ship.
Yeah.
And he starts to realize. So now we're starting to see one of the crew members experience the crash from their beginning.
Yes, from waking up.
And they end up, this person, I think their name is Charlie, ends up wandering around the forest for days because they have no idea what's going on. And they eventually run into Cayman in the woods. And they're excited to see Cayman because they met Cayman at orientation. Charlie did. So he's excited to see Cayman. And he tells Cayman, like, I'm so glad I ran into you. I've been traveling around for days. I need food. Cayman's like, yeah, I'll take you to where the food is. And eventually they run into the Hollow.
Of course they do.
And the Hollow uses its telekinesis and turns Charlie's neck around.
Breaks it.
And
Charlie lasted 5 minutes.
Yeah, it sucks because he was in cryo sleep and his only memory is going to sleep, waking up, being on a planet that he crash landed on, and then being immediately killed by some alien creature.
Literally 5 minutes of the episode.
Having his neck turned around. I thought that scene was creepy and good. It's what snapped Cayman out of the hold that the Hollow had on him.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because when he snapped Charlie's neck, the transition is into Fiona. And I think that's when he finally realizes that Fiona is dead. And he also realizes that he's just been killing random creatures in the woods for the Hollow.
Yes. He's basically a henchman for a random character on a random planet.
Yeah. So he breaks free of it mentally. Hollow's like, I'm not having it. Hollow absorbs him. So like, he doesn't.
Literally, and we're not saying this like metaphorically. He literally absorbs his body into the Hollow body, and Cayman is like being fed through like umbilical cord.
Yeah, so
it's crazy.
Basically, the Cayman is finally been consumed by his grief for what happened to his ex-wife.
He just wants to sit in a
what
warm,
he did
hollow
to everybody.
Body.
So the Hollow just absorbs him, and I assumed he was going to be there forever.
I did too. I didn't think we was going to see Cayman again. Like, bye.
I assumed that was just Cayman giving up on life.
Good day, Cayman.
Which I would have been fine with.
Yeah.
So we don't see Cayman again until the last
towards the end.
Yeah, until towards the end of the series. But the monster we discover does not like technology.
No, it destroys literally anything that's not nature.
Alive. Yeah. So, and we know that because eventually their paths are starting to cross. Ozzy and Levi run into the monster,
which is like dinosaur sized.
It was huge, and it uses its telekinesis to rip Levi apart and throws him in like a canyon.
Didn't see that coming.
Didn't see it coming. It was a little sad.
It's funny because as we leading up to this episode, we're like, Levi kind of weird. Ain't she gonna check on Levi? Levi about to turn into like the Terminator. Yeah. And then very next episode, Levi gets ripped to bits.
Which is sad.
To like screws, stickers, all that, just all torn apart.
Because Ozzy had finally come to terms with Levi was no longer a robot.
Yes, they was like friends.
And they were friends like humans. And I think that was part of the themes thing, where the theme for Ozzy was that she needed to realize that she needed people now. Right,
because she went on the Demeter she said to like escape and get away because she didn't want to be around people. And then later she's kind of like, maybe that wasn't the right decision.
Yeah, and we get a scene with her having a flashback with one of her characters who's her love interest, Mia, on the ship. And she basically tells Mia like, I took this job because, I'm mostly a loner, but I don't think that's the life I want anymore.
Exactly.
Now Ozzy wants to have actually like people in community around her, and she was stranded on this planet with what she thought was just a robot, and realized that they're now kind of like a person. And their journey started to feel a little bit better because they're two humans instead of a human and their iPhone.
Exactly.
So
and they help
once they finally like cross that bridge and they're like, cool,
we're friends
and companions, Levi gets ripped apart.
I was like, wait, is she imagining this?
Yeah.
No, the Hollow ripped Levi apart,
and it was sad. So
very sad. I was touched.
Ozzy takes on the Hollow, which I commendable.
She tried.
She did. She at least drew some blood.
She tried to take on a Stegosaurus,
but Ozzy also gets thrown off into the canyon, but she survives. While in the process, she realizes that Cayman is inside the Hollow.
Yeah,
and I think she thinks that Cayman is the Hollow.
I don't know, but she definitely calls out. I don't think so because she keeps trying to call out to Cayman to like wake him up.
Yeah,
because she cuts open the Hollow. I think is how we see and. there's a lot of like guts, animated guts in this show.
Mm-hmm.
So we see the inside guts of the hollow, and Kay was just sitting there chilling like a little baby fetus,
Mm-hmm.
like balled up, and it's like, ooh, that's gross.
Yeah.
And she's like, Cayman?
Yeah.
Cayman, get out of there.
Yeah. So, she realizes that Levi is dead, and she's officially on her own.
Yeah,
and
she would. That was sad. When
that
she
was
was
sad.
kind of like, I'm actually now for real by myself.
But she's not on her own for long.
No.
Because we have new cast members. So
unfortunately,
we get some new cast members that come down that did get her distress call. It seems like they were like on a moon.
They were moon
right next to the planet.
I think I read that they were like moon drillers, like they drilled into the moon for resources or something.
Okay, so they were at the next moon over from the planet, and these are this is Chris, Terrence, and Barry.
So we got two adults, and Barry's kind of like a teenager.
Yes.
Essentially, who seem like they done picked up along the way.
Yes. So they're a group of misfit scavengers who travel from planet to planet or just pick up whatever cargo they can to sell. They're obviously poor because their big motivation is coming across the Demeter, picking up whatever resources or loot that they have there and using it to get rich.
And piecing out to take back home.
And piecing out.
They don't care nothing about the people on the ship.
They don't care about the people. They
don't care about Ozzy.
They have their own ship. Initially, their offer was to just pick up all of the crew and drop them off somewhere.
Yeah.
So that they can be picked. They can, make their own journey. At least they'll be back with civilization.
Right.
But their ship ends up getting blown up.
By the hollow.
Tear
it up.
So they crash land. They run into Ozzy. They're like, hey, we're scavengers. They're very upfront about it. We're coming to take your cargo.
Right.
We will also take you somewhere else.
If you want to ride,
if you
we'll
want to ride
you.
too. But they're like, hey, the company doesn't care about you. You've been here for long. We're here to steal your stuff, but we'll also we'll also rescue you in the process.
As a thank you.
For you giving up your stuff willingly.
Right.
So Ozzy's like, I have no other choice. It's a fair deal. You'll take our stuff we don't need because we're crash landed. We're not even supposed to be
here.
But
Ozzy is very much like, I need to wake the people up on the ship.
Yeah.
And Chris, who's the leader of the trio, is like, you think.
Right.
You think you're going to wake somebody up.
That
ain't about to happen.
So Ozzy is traveling with Chris, Terrence, and Barry. Nothing really too interesting has happened with Sam and Ursula yet. They haven't run into. Well, we can go ahead and get to where they're going. So they run into a lady in the forest.
She a human lady looking.
Yeah.
She human looking lady.
Two things happen. One, Sam gets pricked by some thing in a different type of forest.
Yeah, that copies. It pricks you, and then it basically takes your DNA and makes a replica of you in a little knapsack.
So it pricks you. Yeah, it pricks you, and then makes a clone.
Yeah.
The closest to a clone it can make, which is usually just some gross looking fleshy creature. And
like the Watchers.
The whole point of it's a plant. And the whole point of it is to clone the specimen so that the specimen goes back to where it's from, which is their pack, usually an animal. And then it immediately explodes and
kills everybody around.
It has acid for blood and it explodes, kills everything around it because it melts it away. And then that is how it seeds.
Yep. And then it blossoms into more plants.
Wherever it exploded and melted, it blossoms into more plants that do the exact same thing. And that's
like
how
a little garden.
That's its pollination system.
Killer plants.
So Sam gets pricked by one of these things. Yeah. He's feeling a little weird because it's clearly poisonous.
A little strange.
But they keep going. They leave the area. And we get the end of that episode, I believe. Or no, the beginning of that episode, I believe, is the plant thing that pricked him has birthed a clone spawn of Sam.
Yeah.
Which is mostly just like a monster, a mindless monster.
Like a very goopy, poor replica.
Yeah.
It's given a Temu replica.
But it's like fleshy and naked and gross looking.
Yeah. And hungry.
So it follows Sam and Ursula to wherever they set up camp at. And Ursula, initially, Sam is sick. She's got him bundled up in a tent. Initially, Ursula thinks that she sees the thing walking around the forest eating something.
Right.
Initially, she thinks it's Sam.
And she's like, it can't be Sam.
Yeah. So she goes back to Sam. She's like, Sam, what are you doing out there? He's like, I haven't been out there. So then she realizes that there's something out there following.
And the look on her face is like, Jesus Christ, something else.
Apparently the things it's birthed with a goal to bury its original.
Yeah, so it kills you and then it tries to hide your body basically by burying it in dirt.
It tries to hide your body and take your place.
Although I don't,
as an imposter.
Yeah, which so is smart.
Right. So Ursula goes to sleep. She wakes up. The thing has buried Sam. The tin is gone, and there's a mound where Sam was sleeping, and the Sam creature is eating at the fire. So she goes and uncovers Sam, who's still alive.
What is you doing under the
who's
dirt?
Still alive.
Sam's like, help me, please.
And then she goes to kill the thing and set it on fire.
Yeah, which she does. And I'm glad they didn't really drag that out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going through enough. So it's not like they wouldn't go run into something else. Yeah. But she lights the thing on fire. It melts. And then Sam is just like, I hate this place.
Yeah.
I just need to go home. This is terrible. Every time we go somewhere, something else. Lord, please.
So they move on to a different part of the forest.
Yep. And this is where they run into the lady.
They run into what looks like a tombstone.
Oh, yeah.
Which is man-made.
Mm-hmm.
Looks man-made.
It looked man-made because it looks weird.
Yeah. So they run into a tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
Sam thinks he's going to die, but they end up getting saved by some random mute woman in the woods.
She don't talk. So that's your cue.
Yeah.
If a person don't talk, I don't want nothing to do with you. Go away.
They run into some you know what she made me think of? She made me think of the old lady in Harry Potter who was actually Nagini the entire time.
It's exactly the... Y'all, if you ever run into an old lady who don't talk, go the other way.
It's Nagini.
Go the other way.
Anyway.
Because that's essentially what she was.
She takes them to their hut, and apparently she crash landed a while ago.
Long time.
An entirely separate type of crash.
Because she looks old now, but in her pictures, she's like 30.
Yeah. So in her picture, she's a young woman and she's like surrounded by an entire space crew. So apparently and her crew crashed here a long time ago as well. She's here by herself. She's also got a hut and a setup similar to Ozzy, where she's got like wildlife and she's surviving out there.
Exactly.
But she doesn't home. She doesn't talk. Sam's sick. Ursula's explaining the symptoms and the woman seems like she recognizes what's going on.
She knows exactly what to do.
So she's giving him medicine is what it appears to be. But this is my issue with Ursula once again. Ursula is not paying enough attention to she's too focused on being curious. She's looking through the woman's stuff.
Yeah. She's like reading books, looking at pictures.
And leaving Sam in the stranger's care. And while she's doing that, the stranger has coughed up some type of seed thing
and planted,
put it inside a hole in Sam's body.
So Sam is now a plant.
Yeah, so Sam has now been infected with some type of thing.
You can see where that's going to go.
And Fiona's gone. So, Fiona is, I think, asleep at this point when Sam finally wakes up.
Ursula.
Ursula.
Yeah.
Ursula. Yeah. So
Ursula go take a little nap.
Ursula decides to go to sleep in the lady's bed in the house.
Did she say you could sleep there, Ursula?
And this lady hasn't said a single thing.
Nothing. She says nothing the whole time.
Sam's feeling better, much better. So he wakes
instantly.
Up and goes into the lady's bedchamber,
cave,
or wherever,
whatever,
and discovers that this lady is attached to some giant one-eye plant squid monster thing,
dinosaur size again,
that is feeding on something in her chest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
the lady is basically a battery.
And it goes to attack Sam once it's been discovered, but it stops once it sees the little hole in its body that the mysterious woman put in him, because now it knows that Sam has been seeded with the parasite thing. So Sam takes the opportunity to make a break for it and leave.
Ursula.
He gets Ursula, who's moving at such a leisurely pace.
She's like, what's wrong?
Until she sees the monster. Yeah. Then her speeds up, which another part of that irritated me about Ursula. You didn't speed up until you saw the monster. Sam shouting, "We need to go because we're on a dangerous planet," isn't enough to get you moving. You have to actually see yourself about to be eaten by something.
On.
Yeah, before she puts some like pedal to the metal. So
I was just kind of, and that's when I knew that was it for Sam. That was it. I knew Sam. I
didn't because at this point they had been through so much.
Fair, but I was like one of them wasn't gonna make it. I had a feeling that one of them was not gonna make it, and I didn't know at that point whether it be Ursula or Sam. But at that, I was like, it's probably gonna be Sam.
I fully expected them to find a way out of it. Just like they found a way out of every single thing else that was ridiculous.
They did, but at some point, it's kind of like, now, are both of y'all really gonna make it? It just don't seem like it. And to be honest, the only human we've lost is Levi. I mean, she ain't human. Only main cast that we have lost at this point is Levi.
Yeah.
So you're right. None of the humans have actually died. I mean, Cayman's in a hollow body, but he alive.
Yeah, nobody's died.
So I guess that was a fair point that you thought that.
So I guess we can finish out Sam and Ursula's story because they don't really cross for the rest.
No, so unfortunately.
Sam and Ursula are still traveling to the Demeter. And Ursula starts to notice that Sam is acting a little weird. He has eat. Unlimited energy.
Don't sleep.
Doesn't eat. Doesn't sleep. Doesn't need anything. He's like completely self-sustaining.
He's swimming.
And he's obsessed with the planet and the nature all of a sudden.
He builds a mud cave.
Which is weird and is a red flag to Ursula because the whole show, Sam's been no distractions, no stopping. Let's go. And Ursula's starting to notice that he wants to stop. And
he wanted to stay overnight.
He
said, we'll get there in the morning. She like, no, dog.
And plant wildlife. And he's talking about feeling nature and feeling the earth and stuff like that.
I knew it.
Eventually, Fiona and Sam realizes that there's something weird going on in Sam's chest. And Sam can open his chest
like a flap,
like a cabinet.
like a refrigerator.
Look at his heart, which is the first clue that something weird has happened to you.
Right. And his heart ain't even there no more.
His heart is there. It is some type of it's alien squid thing wrapped around it. And that's why its heartbeat is so rapid because it is like supercharging his heart.
They call it a parasite, essentially.
It's like supercharging his heart and giving him like all of this unlimited energy. That's why he feels so great.
I took it as the parasite ate his heart and was keeping him alive because it was little and hearts is kind of big. And that little parasite was like the size of a gumball. I was like, I think they replaced his heart with that parasite.
I think it was transforming him.
Okay.
Because he does say later on that he feels like he's been changed on the inside.
It's doing a lot.
So whatever this parasite is, the way it pollinates is by becoming a parasite and then forcing its host to put seeds in other people or other living creatures.
Yep.
So that they will also do the exact same thing. And giant squid monsters will grow from it.
And you know what I was expecting was us to find out the why. Like, what is the main goal of the thing? Is just to have more...
Just how it reproduces.
Soldiers?
Just like the cloning plants in the forest.
Yeah, you're right. They trying to
it's
make
just
more
gross
of them.
and creepy. They all have a gross and creepy method of doing things.
But the thing is like huge. It's got tentacles. And I'm like, what is this thing's objective to have more of those around?
Everything acts like plants and animals here, but they just have a really creepy and gross way of going about doing the exact of reproducing. They all reproduce in like the weirdest, most terrible ways.
It looks beautiful though in animated style.
So while they're discovering this, we also get the cold open to this episode is the mysterious woman. We finally get her backstory.
Oh yes, we did. I forgot about mysterious woman.
We get the mysterious woman who crash landed on the planet with it seems like her husband.
Yeah.
Or her companion.
We don't see the rest of crew. No. We just see her and him.
They're part of a completely separate crash. They were the only survivors of their crash.
That's what it seems like.
And they lived together until the husband ended up getting infected by the parasite.
Like Sam.
As the first one. And became the first giant nasty squid monster.
Yes.
And the wife, the mysterious woman, killed him because he was trying to seed her, but she also needed to free him, and the only way to free him was through death. So,
but she ends up getting seeded.
Yeah, she puts a period on his sentence, but she does end up getting seeded in the process. And she was the one who created the tombstone that they ran into, because it was her husband that was in it. And so from the beginning now that she was possessed once they met her.
Yep.
And now you also know how it's going to end for Sam.
Right.
And that goes back to, I like the way that they chose to insert backstory in certain sections and that. So Sam is possessed and he's not going to make it.
Nope.
Ursula is kind of like, well, we can get back to the ship and get it out of you. Sam's like, I'm not going to make it.
And this was sad because even though I kind of knew at that point, once we get the old lady's backstory and we know what happens to you once you get seated, we know that Sam not going to be able to make it. And them saying, and because like I said earlier, at this point, Sam and Ursula have formed a bond. They're friends now. They have an understanding. They both want to survive, get back to the ship, get back home. But Sam was like, I'm not gonna make it, Ursula. So she leave him, and it's all sad. She like, I don't want to leave. He's like, girl, please go, because I'm not gonna make it.
So Sam rips it out of his chest and dies. He gives Ursula his key card and stuff, so she has access to do everything on the Demeter.
He actually did that back when he got bit the first time. He was like, girl, I don't know how this is going to pan out, so take my key card. Here's the instructions.
So she had everything she needed from him.
She did.
She also had his clothes.
Sam was probably the best character.
He was a really good character. And everybody was smart. Nobody did anything stupid intentionally. Ursula did stupid things, but she did it intentionally.
Yeah.
She intentionally stopped and took a detour in the Forest of Styx to look at the frog opera. But she's not an idiot. She chose to do that.
Right.
But
curiosity was killing her cat.
I like the fact that they were all intelligent.
Right.
And they didn't make dumb decisions because they were dumb. They made decisions, and then maybe it was good, and maybe it didn't pan
out so well. Right.
Sam's dead. Ursula's making her way back to the ship solo. Ozzy has run into the 3 scavengers.
Right. They trying to get back to the ship.
They're making their way.
Minding their business.
Yeah. Making their way across the planet, making their way downtown. And one of the scavengers bites it. Unfortunately.
Oh, he mowed and bite. He wraps him up like an anaconda and squished that man.
The thing is, Ozzy told them over and over again, like, I'm the one who has the most experience on this planet. I'm telling you guys, you need to be more careful about how we're moving about this place.
Nothing is safe.
The 3 of them are like, well, we 3 stooges are kind of just like, well, we've survived on our own
so long. We're a
so
team.
long. There's literally nothing that we can't face that we're not prepared for. Well,
Terrence learned today.
Terrence wasn't prepared for the Venus flytrap tree.
Yeah.
That
so
swallowed him up.
It happened so quick. It wasn't even like a slow burn that he got attacked. He went to pick up something. He touched a plant or some sand or something. Touched the wrong spot, and the plant came up out of the ground.
It was like some type of snare trap tree creature.
Wrapped him up like he was an anaconda and crushed that man.
It clamps you and twists you. So he was broken. Like, he was all turned up and twisted like he was in a blender.
No saving
The
him.
sad thing about it was that he was still alive. So Ozzy, being the nice person, tries to get him out. But Chris and Barry, who are the remaining scavengers, Chris is the leader.
Right.
She's like, there's no way to save him. So she mercy kills him.
Yeah, which was
the one good thing she did.
That's the only good thing she did.
She mercy kills him, and now it's Chris, Barry, and Ozzy making their way across the planet. And Ozzy and Chris don't like each other. Ozzy sees that Chris is just an opportunist who has no intention of helping the crew.
And poor Barry just along for the ride.
Barry has something going on.
Yeah.
Where he is very sensitive to cleanliness.
Yeah.
Smell. And sound.
And he wants to collect. He kind of has a little Ursula in him where he wants to stop and see and touch. And Chris is like, let's go. We don't have time for this.
And he's not good in high pressure situations at all.
No, he doesn't want any arguing. He doesn't want any fighting.
No shouting.
Nothing. He's like, let's all be friends. We're a team. Let's work together. So Barry is very much kind of like, let's all just get along.
And he's a child. He's a teenager, but he has like the mindset of like a very small child.
Yeah. He don't need to be here, essentially.
No, he doesn't need to be here at all. And it kind of seems like Chris is kind of taking advantage of him in that sense, because he's kind of just like...
And Ozzy says that.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just like a lapdog for her.
He is.
That she uses to do whatever she wants.
Yep. Calls him an asset.
Yeah. So...
Like what?
Ozzy makes her move. She tries to take Chris out while they're making their way across the river. But
Barry don't like fighting.
Barry don't like fighting. So he knocks out Ozzy, but doesn't kill her, convinces Chris not to kill her. And they just leave her tied up in the river.
Which I don't know why we had to tie her
up. They were leaving her for the little black cat things to come back and get her.
Oh.
Because you notice by the time Ozzy woke up, the river dried up and was gone.
Yeah.
She was in the same spot.
Yeah.
And those cat things were there earlier waiting for them to fall in. So I think she was leaving her there for the cat things to come back and get her.
Chris wasn't no good.
No, Chris
wasn't no good.
But that didn't keep Ozzy down. Ozzy got free eventually.
Right.
Because
Ursula
saved her. So our characters are finally running into each other.
Episode 11.
Ursula finally shows up and saves Ozzy.
11 of 12.
I liked this scene because they immediately jump into action. And they're like, Ozzy fills her in on what's going on. Ursula's like, I'm down to help.
Right.
And then they're on the way. And then Ozzy stops and hugs her because she's like,
nice.
I I like that part because it reminded the both of them, because they hugged each other. It reminded the both of them that, oh wait, we're crew members. We're like the closest thing like we have to family was so on
big,
this. Yeah,
they didn't really maybe interact as much. So yeah, I like that.
Or maybe the crew didn't know the colonists really.
Okay.
Or vice versa. But I like the fact that they had to remind themselves, like, we've been on this planet for so long. This is the first time we need to acknowledge the fact that
I was gonna say we need to say thank you.
This is the first time we're seeing humans that we're actually grateful to see for the first time. So I love the fact that they took that moment to do that. But they head towards the Demeter. Mm-hmm. Chris and Barry have already made it there.
Trying to get away.
They're trying to get the cargo.
And load up. Barry
has a change of heart. And he's like, we need to wake up the crew first. We at least need to wake them up. If we're not going to take them, we at least need to wake them up so they have a fighting chance on this planet. Because we've seen a lot of them have been eaten by something in their cryo tubes.
Not all of the cryo sleep
A lot of them are like missing their intestines.
Yeah, we don't. Because actually earlier in the season, we do see something go in there. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what, but the ship's got like holes and breaks and stuff in it. So it's not like
parasites
concealed.
And animals and things are making their way into the ship and eating the crew while they're asleep.
Yeah.
So Barry's like, we gotta wake them up. Mm-hmm. Chris is like, fine, we'll go wake them up. So while Barry heads out the door, Chris locks it behind him, gets in her ship and takes off and leaves them.
I was
shocked that she did it so quickly.
Well, yeah. And I actually thought that she wasn't. I was like, oh, somebody gonna come and disable this or shoot her down. No. Yeah. Chris makes it off of the island. And that means nobody else can leave.
Because at that point, the Hollow has shown up.
Yes.
And it's stopping them from stealing more cargo. Up. So they're like, well, before this Hollow blows up the next ship, we need to get out of here with it.
Right.
So Chris takes off, leaves Barry.
Leave everybody. Not just Barry. So everybody.
Now we just have Barry, we have Ursula, and we have Ozzy left.
Yep. And then guess who shows up?
Levi. Because Levi was put together again by nature. Apparently, for the magic of the planet.
Nature and Levi is one and the same at this point.
So Levi is no longer a hybrid robot part of the planet. He's fully like part of the planet.
Okay.
He's fully like wildlife, techno wildlife or whatever.
It's definitely fully self-aware, like its own being at this point.
The little plants, the little glowing flowers that grow whenever a dead body shows up on the planet. Mm-hmm. Levi has been using those to reproduce. Yeah. To make more Levi's. 100% full natural. Levi's. He plants them in the ground and he uproots them in their
little kids.
They're little Levi's that grow. Mm-hmm. So Levi's making his own family. But Levi's also now like a superpowered person now. Yes. Because
it's like Superman.
While Ursula and Barry and Ozzy are trying to wake up the crew, the Hollow shows up.
Tearing it up.
Ozzy's like, I'll distract the Hollow while you wake up the crew. So
don't go that well.
Ollie and the Hollow are duking it out. Outside while Ursula and Barry are trying to save the crew inside and wake them up. And Levi shows up at the last minute to save
Now,
Ozzy.
Levi doesn't look like it looks like a robot, but it's got a lot of plants. So it's very clear that Levi not the same Levi we met.
Its little vision sensor used to be as a hole now.
And it's like a plant hole that's like, it looked like it got a little toupee on.
Yeah.
A plant.
So the Hollow, not liking technology and knowing that it killed Levi before.
Right. It's like, I've seen you before.
Super pissed now.
Very mad.
Tries to take on Levi a second time. And we get a very long extended sequence that I'm not exactly sure what we're meant to extrapolate from it.
It's like the creation of the planet?
Yeah, so it's like the Big Boom.
Exactly. It's like we're seeing the Big Bang Theory the planet. And we see like hills and valleys and Technicolor and space and stars. And I'm like, what is happening right now?
We see the Demeter explosion again. We see Cayman falling down to the planet's surface in this like vision from inside the Hollow.
All of the creative juices flowing at once in this scene.
Essentially, Levi uses his new super powers to blow the Hollow apart. Doesn't kill the Hollow.
Disintegrates.
Mostly just disintegrates its body. Its outer mass, but the Hollow is still alive as the
it's back to being puppy size.
It blows it down to puppy size again.
Right. And one of my notes says I would have killed that thing.
I would have squished it immediately.
They let it go. Yeah. I was like, why are we letting this thing go?
And that'll come back later. So
it has to, because also we see Cayman.
Yes.
Chilling.
So Cayman is alive.
Because now the hollow body is gone. So we have Puppy Hollow and regular Cayman.
So Ozzy chases the hollow off into the forest.
Oh, they killed it.
The hollow runs off into the forest.
Shoot.
And they wake up the rest of the crew. The crew that is still left. A lot of them, most of them have died. The hollow
actually has killed more people. So whatever parasite was in the planet or in the ship during all these episodes has killed some people. And then the hollow takes out more people. So they got like, I don't know, a third.
Yeah, it looks like only 30% of the crew is still surviving.
It's not a lot of them, unfortunately.
But, it's not a lot of them, but at least they're alive.
Mia survives,
which is good for Ozzy.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they have adopted Barry into the crew.
He ain't got nowhere else to go.
He ain't got nowhere else to go because he's also stranded.
Very much so.
But, so...
It ends with them basically adapting to living on Vesta, which is the name of the planet.
Because the plan was to colonize somewhere. They're trapped on Vesta. They are colonists, so they're doing what they know how to do, which is colonizing.
It's given very much, we can't leave yet, so we're going to have to make the best of it while we're here.
It still seems like they fully intend to leave. They're just surviving and setting up a camp and some food and some stuff while they're there.
And they've got a greenhouse, and Cayman's working in the greenhouse with Ursula, but he weird still. He probably feel guilty as heck, which he should.
Cayman is still in the greenhouse with Ursula. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because it made me remember something outside of crashing the ship. Cayman hasn't done anything else bad. I mean, crashing the ship and causing all the people to be there and be killed is bad enough, but
I guess he was just killing wildlife.
All of his force hijinks, technically he didn't do anything.
He was helping the hollow though.
But the hollow was mentally controlling him.
I guess.
So he technically didn't harm anybody else after he crashed the ship.
That's enough. He did enough with that.
I thought that was an interesting takeaway.
Yeah, I think Cayman is having survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
Essentially. And he's just kind of, meandering along and hoping that nobody takes him out.
We get 2 stingers. One, Cayman is planting. And he sees this little green spindly creature.
You thought that was a stinger? That they put the creature back. So he takes the creature and he takes it back outside, essentially, because it's growing amongst the plants. Why do you think that was a stinger?
It's not the first time we saw that creature.
It's not, but I don't remember from where.
First time we saw that creature is being used by a hollow as a thrall. So Cayman is still feeding the hollow.
Oh.
And he took it to the same spot where the hollow ran off, where Ozzy chased it off.
I didn't even make that connection.
Yeah.
Of course.
So Cayman is still at least making sure the hollow is surviving.
See, I didn't even get
either sending it food or sending it more thralls.
Yeah, I remember seeing that thing. I was like, oh, that's the thing from earlier, but I didn't make the connection that he was possibly still feeding the hollow.
Yeah.
God, Cayman.
So Cayman is still messing with the hollow.
Makes me so mad now.
And the second stinger is Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, who's floating off in the middle of nowhere.
Sound like her navigation system maybe got jacked up by what was ever already in the ship.
She didn't have enough in that escape pod to get her where she wanted to go. So she ended up dead,
drifting,
floating dead in space.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a scene of her being boarded.
Yeah, by some
giant ship full of some cult-like things. They look like the bad guys from the Guardians of the Galaxy video game. They don't
have a face really. It's just a hole.
They have masks.
They're like holes for 2 eyes and a hole for a mouth.
Yeah.
And everything else is white.
And they're bandaged like lepers.
And they sound like robots. Like when they walk, it was like a little robotic situation. So I don't know if they're humans, robots, plants.
They reminded me of these Universal Faith villains in the Guardians of the Galaxy video game, which was basically they were a space church that was using this artifact to take over people's minds to convert them into the religion.
Because they have a shrine of a skeleton that looked like it's set up like a Catholic shrine of some sort with candles and all that.
It's looking weird.
It's looking strange.
But it does let us know that space is weird now. Society has gotten weirder in space.
Listen,
so
I'll just stay on Earth.
It lets us know that wherever civilization is, they're not all the way there.
Mm.
And we also get a shot of them boarding the ship, finding Chris still alive, desiccating.
Yeah,
she's had no food and water.
No good shape, but that's what she get.
And there is a baby Levi on the planet.
And the baby Levi reaches out to touch the little alien cult people, and then it goes to black.
Yes, because the baby Levi got on the ship because Barry put the plant on the ship.
Yes, yep. She told Barry, "Go ahead and pick the plant so we can take it back to Terrence's family." Like, why are we taking plants?
So
from
now
this planet?
I'm wondering, is that everywhere that plant grows, is a Levi gonna show up?
Maybe.
And now we know that they're now we know that people are going to go to the planet now.
Go to what planet?
Because they're gonna go to Vesta.
Oh, you think these cult people gonna go to Vesta?
Yeah. I think now that they've discovered Levi has birthed a new species.
Interesting.
And I think they're absolutely gonna go and investigate the planet now.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, they got enough going on in that planet. Lord knows they don't need no more. But I think it's interesting that Chris stupidly told Barry to take the plant. Because why would you take anything from this planet?
Nothing.
And then I think it's also interesting that you say that the baby Levi. I wonder what the baby Levi. I wonder if the baby Levi is what towed that ship up, the escape pod, because she was in there.
No, the escape pod looks like it's been overgrown with stuff.
Yeah,
and
so
I think,
is that Levi?
I don't know. Maybe Levi grows more plants. It looked like it was overgrown with stuff. So maybe that all could have came from the flower.
Maybe.
That's why you don't take stuff off that planet.
Hello, customs would be like, no, you can't get in here with that.
That is how the series ends, and we don't have confirmation or word about a season 2 yet.
I do like it wasn't really it was a cliffhanger, but not totally. Like, we can assume that the colony, Ursula, Barry, and Ozzy, are just, living on the planet until somebody come get them or they can escape. We know what Levi doing, making little Levi's. And then Chris, who cares what happens to her? Because she deserves it.
Yeah, and it was a great definitive end.
It was.
I do.
However, I'm going to need an episode. I'm going to need the season 2.
Yeah, so this was originally aired on HBO Max. It got moved to Netflix. The hope is that now that it's on Netflix, it's a lot more accessible, has more viewers, and it can continue its lifetime either on Netflix or on a different network. So
go watch it. So it needs viewership, y'all.
Yeah,
basically,
absolutely.
It needs viewership. Check it out. I guess are we back in our normal? Let's see. You gave a good rundown. So who we recommend this to?
I would recommend it to anybody that is a fan of sci-fi.
Agreed.
Anything that has to do with space or anything that has to do with otherworldly stuff. If you are a fan of Interstellar, if you're a fan of Arrival, Expanse. What's that Natalie Portman movie with the screaming bear in the forest?
Oblivion.
No.
That
was something else.
Hold on, now we gotta go look it up.
Annihilation.
There it is. I was close.
If you're a fan of like Annihilation type movies like that.
That is a very good
because everything
movie description similarity of what this show is.
Everything in Annihilation was weird.
Very weird.
Nothing was natural, and it wasn't safe to touch anything.
And because this is animated, they were able to get more weird because they didn't have to recreate it, do practical effects or CGI. So it's like what is the name? What's the name of the movie again? Annihilation on steroids. Yeah, which is a good thing. I'm saying that as a good thing.
Also, like Castaway, Lord of the Flies. It's got a lot of those. Lost,
perhaps a little Lost in there. Any of those Stranded,
2001: A Space Odyssey. It's got a lot of
Event Horizon.
Oh God, yeah. So it borrows from a lot of that stuff. It puts it together really well, and I think the only way you could do that is animation. So don't stick around waiting for a live action version. Just watch this. It's perfect.
It's good, and it's got some grossness to it, but it's not like you can't watch it.
Yeah,
because I feel like animation. You can do when you do animation very well when you're able to depict stuff that's kind of like oozing and goozing and guts and stuff, but it's not like a turn off.
Yeah, because if this was live action, a lot of this would have made me close my eyes.
I couldn't have.
But because this is animation, it still was gross to look at,
right?
But digestible.
Exactly. It was an easy watch. Let's put it that way.
Favorite line or scene?
I have a favorite line.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. Where did I put it?
Is it F. Cayman?
No, but that was also a good one. Episode 6. Ursula saved Sam from some tragedy. I don't even remember which one. And Sam says, I think Ursula goes, this planet is weird, or, every time we go somewhere, something happens. And Sam was like, there's something around every corner of this goddamn place. Yeah. And you don't say goddamn.
Yeah.
But Sam is fed up.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And he was just like, it's something in every corner of this gosh
And that
place.
is when Ursula realizes that creepy clone Sam is following them.
There it is.
And she goes to tell him, I think there's something out there. He's like, there's always something out there, Ursula.
It's every corner. Every corner. So that was my favorite line from Sam.
I have a favorite scene, and it'll be the frog opera.
That was your favorite?
Because it was epic. So much hours and hours and hours and possibly days of work and animation had to go into this, and it meant nothing. It literally meant nothing.
I'm sure it meant something somewhere.
I mean, it showed how the nature survives in this forest and the random animal rituals, but it meant nothing.
The rituals of the animals and how they procreate and how they reproduce and how they give life to the next thing. The detail.
And I liked how intense it was. And then when it was over, Ursula was just kind of like, wow. And then all I would want to do is share that experience with somebody. And immediately Sam was like, yeah, that's great.
Right. Let's go.
Next time you wander off, how about you let somebody know?
Yeah, Sam didn't like that because he didn't know where she was because she was standing there the whole time.
But I liked it just because it was so over the top and extra.
Yeah.
And
it was just and we're done.
It meant nothing.
We're finished.
Yeah.
Maybe it means something in season 2. I have to think.
Definitely be sober when you watch all of this.
Or not.
Or not. Maybe that'll enhance the experience. We don't know. Let us know.
But listen, I could not. I'd be like, I'm seeing this in real life.
Final words about the movie and our rating.
So definitely go watch it. It's an easy watch. It's easy to follow. If you're into anything sci-fi related, just pick it up.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good one.
Absolutely.
I would give it 5 Nicole Kidmans.
Yeah. I would also give this 5 Nicole Kidmans. I think it's a great watch. I'm excited to see if it blows up in popularity now that it's on Netflix.
Share it to death.
If it gets a season 2, there are plenty of things that don't need a season 2 that have gotten one. So let's start giving them to good things.
Yeah. How about that, Netflix? Yeah. How about that?
All right. So that is our review on Scavengers Reign. What are we doing next week?
Next week, we got a movie, a very highly anticipated summer movie. A Quiet Place Day Uno is our next review. And I have not seen either of the other ones, and I won't be. So my perspective will be from somebody who doesn't have any background.
You should watch Quiet Place Part 2.
I don't have time.
It's like
I need to watch Pearl.
You do need to watch. Well, that's your fault. The fact that you're at the wires.
I watch Pearl. I gotta watch.
You have time to watch Pearl. Pearl's like an hour and a half.
I know.
Watch A Quiet Place Part 2.
Part
2 immediately picks up, I think, the day after Part 1.
But I can't watch Part 2 and not have Part 1.
They do plenty of flashbacks. You know what? Part 2 starts off with a cold open, which shows day 1 in the town where Jim was.
Okay.
And then they give you exposition about everything that happened in 1, and then 1 kicks off. But 1, Emily Blunt, Cillian Murphy, Jaimin Hansu.
Yeah. So we know Jaimin Hansu, what happens to him in his prequel.
This isn't, so Quiet Place Part 1 was more like a horror thriller because you're just following an isolated family. Mm-hmm. Part 2 is more like an action film. It's like a sci-fi action.
Okay.
It's not very creepy because everything takes place in the daylight.
Okay.
And Part 2, they know how to defeat the monsters. Part 1, it's mostly like they
gotta learn.
They don't know what's going on. They're just trying to survive. Part 2 is more like fighting back and being more resourceful, and everybody's smart. Even the kids are being smarter. Okay, so watch Part 2. And Jaimin Hansu's in Part 2, and I think it'll tie it together.
I'll try my best
Cillian Murphy
in the next 6 days.
Yeah, so you should try it. It's good.
All right. Thanks for listening. If you like our show, please share it. You can give us a review on Apple Podcasts or on our website, vaguelynerdypodcast.com, where you can also leave us a nice voicemail so we can play it on the show. You can also follow us on Twitter at vaguelynerdypod or on IG at vaguelynerdypodcast. And if you are listening to us on a podcast app, you can watch our animated show on YouTube. And last but not least, if you want to send us a little email, you can reach us at vaguelynerdypodcast@gmail.com.
All right. Until next time.
Peace.
Bye.